I don't know whether the puns have gotten worse or better since your concussion.
Hello and welcome back to Archaeoscoop, where we examine good news in the world of archaeology from around the world. I'm joined by the fantastic Michelle Franklin. Hello, Michelle. How are you doing?
Great, since this is another Senightly program.
It's senightly.
Jane wins again.
Jane does win again. It's senightly for the next fortnight in order to get back to our fortnightly framing. One day. But yes, it's been an interesting couple of weeks in the world of archaeology and history and heritage news. And for the curious at home who are watching, I'm wearing sunglasses because I bashed my head. I have a concussion, and this is just much more comfortable for me. Plus, it's cool.
Marc is about to ask us whether or not we'd like to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. The honor is mine. Nice to meet you.
The red pill of archaeology news.
Oh, what would the red pill of archaeology news be?
Well, I would say, I guess the red pill would be maybe archaeology, maybe blue would be history or anthropology, I suppose. Something else.
See, that's very nice of you to say that. But I was presuming it would be like red pill would be
budget cuts.
No. It would be ancient aliens was right about everything. Whereas blue pill, we're blue pill in that sense. We're just presenting the news.
Or blue pill is like gradual time travel.
Oh, okay. Well,
you mean like where we go back to ancient Greece.
Oh, okay, yeah, that could work.
But speaking of time travel, I have
a
good story. This one is from a couple of weeks ago, and it is the lost Byzantine city rediscovered in the Jordanian desert. This one is from Archaeology magazine. Archaeologists believe they have rediscovered the lost Byzantine city of Thracis, sorry if I'm pronouncing it correctly, in southern Jordan, according to Turkey Today. The settlement
I hear it's a very complicated archaeological site.
Byzantine joke for the win.
Oh God, Marc. Oh God. This is so bad. I don't know whether the puns have gotten worse or better since your concussion. The settlement is thought to have been an important religious and trading center along the Roman and Byzantine road network connecting Zoar to central Jordan. The city appears on the famous 6th century AD Madaba mosaic map, the oldest surviving map of the Middle East, but its exact location has remained a mystery. Over the past several years, an archaeological project has re-examined historical documents and inscriptions while conducting field surveys outside of the modern town of El Iraq near the southeastern edge of the Dead Sea. The team rediscovered compelling evidence for the existence of Thracis, again, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, including ceramics, Greek and Latin funerary inscriptions, and fragments of mosaic floors. However, archaeologists were most convinced by the discovery of the ruins of the Byzantine church and other structures that seem to match the representation of the city on the mosaic map. There you go.
Okay, interesting. Do you know, one of my favorite representations of Byzantine stuff actually comes in the form of the Rise of the Tomb Raider. In that computer game, there's some wonderful, beautiful, sort of hypothetical Byzantine architecture and archaeology and mosaics to be seen. But you didn't. I don't know. Did they ever have like a Tanis moment? Was there a sort of, they finally discovered this lost city, and then there's a race to no.
I don't know. No. The article doesn't mention Lara, so I'm assuming not.
No. Okay.
Either that or she shot all the dinosaurs around there, and the dinosaurs can't speak for themselves.
Indeed. They need an advocate. Speaking of dinosaur-sized things, at the very least, I have for my first news story the news that's come out of an archaeological excavation on Hadrian's Wall that a massive shoe has been found.
Shoe?
A massive shoe. This is evidence that's emerged from Northumberland's very own Bigfoot, according to the Chronicle Live news website, during a Roman dig at the fort near Hadrian's Wall, just up the road from Vindolanda. So this is the little explored Magna Fort, which is a suitable name, Magna Fort, for a Magna Foot. And the site has, in that sense, been studied as part of ongoing work at Vindolanda. So it's sort of like a satellite excavation. But it turns out that now, as part of the collection of more than 5,000 shoes or thereabouts, a huge shoe, the Magna shoe, has been found to be 32 centimeters long, which is the equivalent of UK men's size 12 to 14 in modern footwear, which actually is the same size as my feet. Interesting.
I was about to say, who's the big boy? But it's you, Mark. You're the big boy.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I was going to make a Biggus Dickus joke.
Biggus. Dickus.
But now it's the same size as my feet, so I feel very inadequate.
Is it you, Mark? Are you really the biggest Dickus in all of us? Is that...
Oh, don't make me laugh. It immediately drew impressed gasps from volunteers and staff. Said Magna senior archaeologist Rachel Frame. The sheer size of the shoe and guesses about
14 is pretty big.
Yeah, guesses about who could have worn it dominated conversation. We were baffled and astounded by the sheer size of the shoe.
Well, now we know that Mrs. Soup is very delighted.
Apparently so. Magna was the home of two of the most exotic Roman regiments to have served in the Roman Britain, Syrian archers and Dalmatian mountain soldiers. And the dig is the third in a 5-year project. Is in the third, sorry, of a 5-year project at the relatively unvisited, I suppose, fort, because actually, Vindolanda, Housesteads, here in Wallsend, people sort of, there are certain places where people definitely go, but maybe now they'll be able to go and see the shoe. At Magna, the lack of rain has caused groundwater. Lack of rain? Okay, has caused the groundwater level to drop in recent years. When the groundwater level drops, changes occur in the soil environment. These changes can impact upon basic soil chemistry and microorganisms therein. And this meant that the archaeological artifacts actually become more at more risk. So there's more likely, if it's not flooded with water, there's more oxygen, there's more microbial activity, and therefore things are at more risk. So this was a good find at the right time. Otherwise, it might have been lost in the near future. Apparently, though, this is also interesting because we have a weather station and probe array to monitor these changes in the soil environment as they occur. Our continuous monitoring helps us develop future mitigation plans, so we can salvage as much of the archaeology as possible. And this is one of the things I often think about and point out when it comes to work in and around Vindolanda. It's one of the benefits of having a site that's essentially privately owned. So the Burley family, of which the current Burley, I think, is the third Burley in a row to be digging there, basically bought the site and have turned it into a private charitable enterprise. But it gives you what used to require essentially significant private wealth to have essentially dibs on a site. This not only gives them dibs, but also actually means that they can make decisions and do research over generations, literally, and understand the impact of, for example, climate change or changing water levels on preservation of material. But yeah, one Bigfoot. You never know. The guy might have just had one Bigfoot. It might have been like, one Bigfoot.
A single foot, or like angel single, like biblical angel single foot, or are we talking about?
Could be. Yeah, and maybe they hopped everywhere. Biggest hoppers.
See, now my next story seems kind of terrible because I also had a story about something that was unearthed near Hadrian's Wall, and it just seems so boring now. So amateur archaeologists unearthed winged goddess at Hadrian's Wall. Absolutely not a giant shoe with the possible discovery of a real Biggus Dickus. But striking Roman depiction of a winged goddess of victory has been discovered near Hadrian's Wall by volunteers helping archaeologists on an official excavation. The stone relief was found by a Merseyside couple at Vindolanda, the shoe place, the site of the important Roman fort near Hexham. Dilys Quinlan, 69, nice, works in healthcare, while her husband Jim, 68, almost nice, is an engineer with the Liverpool City Council.
Okay.
And this season marks their 21st year as volunteers at Vindolanda, regularly traveling from their home near Liverpool to assist archaeologists at the site. To
Wow.
their excitement, they spotted a stone relief in the rubble. They were clearing above the site's infantry barracks. Dilla said, we've spent the last majority, I'm not going to attempt a Liverpudlian accent. We've spent the vast majority of our annual leave at Vindolanda over the years. As veteran diggers, it is without doubt the most wonderful thing we've ever done. And importantly, it's
Oh,
something we do as a couple. Remember, kids, the couple that digs together, figs together.
isn't that lovely?
It's the best form of relaxation we know of. Eat well, sleep well. We're in good company, and there's always more ways to learn. What more could you ask for? And there is a lovely picture of the relief that he found. Dr. Andrew Burley, the director of
Hmm.
excavations at
Hmm.
Vindolanda, thank you, Mark. For our volunteers to find things like this, it's just simply beyond wonderful because they put so much work and dedication into the site. And he says there, he goes on to say there is a sense of palpable excitement when you turn over the 2000th piece of Roman rubble and you see on the other side the face of a goddess staring back at you. There you
Oh,
go.
oh, and of course, yeah, both of us have that experience on the daily when we wake up in the morning and do our daily ablutions. We see the face of divinity staring back at us. Yeah, exactly. Um,
I find mine at the bottom of a coffee cup. So yes,
well, and that actually, again, that what's interesting about that story in the context of the big shoe one as well, is
the
that
big
actually
shoe.
again the Vindolanda Research Project and Trust have developed a tremendous um, by through necessity, but also actually just because it's good strategy, a tremendous habit and way of releasing stories and making sure that people are free in the story to talk about what a wonderful time they're having there. So you sometimes see people criticizing Pompeii similarly, in so much as sometimes Pompeii will release news that's could have been released a little bit sooner, but might have clashed with the previous bit of news that they were releasing. But I think it's just good. It's good practice in that sense. It's not about
It's always
academic
good.
publishing.
What's that example you give all the time, Mark, of releasing information too soon? There was one specific, not Gobekli Tepe. There was another one that you said where they released information too soon. They had to, and the news misreported it.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Well, it's the Gunung Padang pyramid.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, yeah,
yes, which is
yeah.
not true and was
No,
misreported by the news, and now it just keeps because
keep
AI has
cycling.
taken up this story and it just keeps going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh, yeah, well, and as far as I can tell, it's not entirely clear if one of the main protagonists is a real journalist. Actually, as you say, it may well be not just that AI is sharing, but AI may even have written it. In that instance, the problem in that instance is that the headline is always 25,000-year-old pyramid may not be made by humans, according to archaeologists. So they start with the premise that it is, in fact, a pyramid, frankly, never mind just how old it is. And then they
mm.
say, archaeologists are being spoil sports, or they're going back on what they previously said, which isn't true.
Yeah,
So,
that's not true.
no,
They,
no.
they didn't say it. That was the whole point, is that they didn't say it, and
Mm.
it was the news that went, oh, we're just gonna
Well,
assume.
it wasn't the news.
Yeah.
It was a willful deployment of geological analysis, lacking any cultural context, crucially, that meant that people were able to say that it's a pyramid that is 25,000 years old. In that sense,
Aliens!
yeah, yeah,
Aliens! Here, put a big picture of Frederick right here. Aliens!
exactly, exactly. My second story is it's an
Not
interesting one.
aliens.
Well, actually, you could. It's often something that people point to as being a sign of age. We've talked
Oh no.
about crystal skull and the elongation of skulls, haven't we? In that sense, and the fact that in books and coffee table books in the 70s and 80s, it'll be like, were these people contacted by aliens? Look at their skulls, that kind of thing. And in this instance, it's an interesting little bit of research. It's from Popular Mechanics, which is fast becoming one of my favourite archaeological news sources, interestingly. And it's got the headline: Archaeologists found 6,200-year-old skull. Then they noticed something very wrong, with the subheadline:
Dun-dun.
Talk about a splitting headache. Nice. You see, this particular place, this skull was found at a site called, I think, Chega Sofla, and
Apologies for the pronunciation.
Yeah, and it's an excavation that took place in western Iran, where many skeletons have been found, seemingly with modified skulls. And in this instance, what we have is a skull whose a skeleton is yet to be identified, because they need to do more work to attach, as it were, the head back to its owner. But it's a skull which has been shattered, and they think possibly because of a practice of binding and elongating the skull. So, to quote Mahdi al-Rezadeh, apologies, she said, "We know that this woman experienced a fracture in the final moments of her life. But the question is whether or not this is as a result of murder, for example, or an accident, but also whether or not the weakness that led to the fracture was inherent because of this practice of binding and modifying the cranium." Other researcher on the study, Hamed Vadati Nasab, used CT scans to get a closer look at the woman's skull, referred to as BG1.12.
Poor woman. It's
Yeah.
she had a name. It's like, no, you are now BG1.12.
I don't know, Battlestar Galactica,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very true. She's a Cylon. Makes sense. Makes sense.
They focused on the thickness of her cranial bones and something called a diploe, or this spongy bone tissue found between the external and internal layers of the cranium of the skull. And they came to the conclusion that they were much thinner than that of a typical skull, and noted that this is to be expected with cranial alterations, namely, for example, binding of the head when someone is young, which results in an elongated skull. So it's interesting. It's a very niche interesting, but I suppose this whole show could be described as niche, in so much as the triangular fracture on this woman's skull, according to the study, was the result of an intense force delivered by an object with a wide edge, and certainly resulted in her death.
Ouch.
Presumably, yeah. But we can't. They say they can't necessarily attribute the weakness to the modified skull because the trauma was so severe. So you could argue that it's kind of a non-story. Blow that would smash anyone's skull smashed a slightly elongated skull.
But it's the story. It's the why, Mark. That's the archaeology. What's the narrative?
Yeah, it is the why. And it's also the fact that there are people buried at this site, both with cranial and without cranial modifications. They're buried together. Again, in this instance, this means that this woman's skeleton is yet to be identified and reunited with her skull. But it's this question of I say multi-layered. Was it murder? Was it ritual?
It was the Druids, Mark.
Exactly. Or an additional question might be: was she rendered more vulnerable to an injury, perhaps a falling or something falling on her head, because of the elongated skull? I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting little thing to bring to this week's episode, I think.
And as a little bonus, since we talked about Indiana Jones last time, so it's very little to do with archaeology, but Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, first DLC is coming in September. Mark and I both really, really enjoy the game.
Yeah,
And
yeah, but
we had a
what's
whole
the
rant
subject?
last
What's the
time.
subject?
The it's the
They
Order of Giants.
Yeah, yeah. They picked the worst thing from the game
So Mark and I, when we
to
had our whole
focus on.
rant about Indiana Jones 2 weeks ago,
Yeah.
we talked and we had a whole critique. Actually, Mark had a defense and I had a critique of Indiana Jones. And so I identified one of the things that I really
Sorry. Did you say I had a defense?
those were your words. Those were
No, no, no,
your
no,
words,
no.
sir.
I
Is that
know,
you
I
said
know.
and I
But you,
quote because Mark is going to take a clip and he's going to put it in here and he will see that he said because I'm happy to make a defense of them and he
offer a
will put
defense.
that clip here
Yeah,
for
yeah,
everybody to
yeah.
see. It's
Unbelievable.
okay. I just pretend the last two movies just didn't happen. That's all.
Do you know what? We should talk about that in a future episode because I'm happy to make a defense of them.
You really want to make a defense of the alien one?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
A crystal skull? Okay, Mark, let's hear it. No, you open the box. You're going to shut it. I want to hear this defense of Crystal Skull. Right, forget about Dial of Destiny. I want to hear the defense of Crystal Skull right now. So, and so he did. He proceeded to make a defense of them for 35 minutes.
Oh, so I
But
did make a defense.
yes,
Yeah,
but
a
I made a
successful
critique.
defense.
No,
Oh, okay.
not a successful one because we as something that we we went on with afterward is one of the I think identified one of the reasons why both of us are really upset about the latter two Indiana Jones films is in the first three
Hmm.
the object that Indy is going for is a legendary object. It's something that obviously might not have existed and you as the audience get to discover and find the object for the first time. And obviously, there's a supernatural element to it. But for Dial of Destiny, it was the Antikythera mechanism. And we
Mm.
know that that is a real thing, and we know what it's for. And the alien one was just trash, so there's no point. But this one, because the crystal skulls are all fake, we know they're all fake. And so the fact that Indiana Jones is treating them as archaeological objects is very,
Yeah,
it's wrong and upsetting, especially
yeah.
for somebody who sort of comes from academia. And so, would you like to tell people what the Order of Giants is about more?
Is it the Nephilim?
Yeah.
I'm presuming because obviously there are giants in the game which are essentially meant to be Nephilim, and Nephilim are seemingly a subspecies of angel.
They're on
Which
the side. They're on the side. There's a whole later on that later on in biblical canon, obviously things
Yeah.
became classified as angels, like the Nephilim or the Ophanim, which people mistakenly call the biblically accurate angels. They're not
Mhm,
angels,
mhm.
and so they ended up becoming part of this sort of order, like the cherubim as well. But technically, no, they're not. The Nephilim are not angels. They're other supernatural beings.
Hmm. Okay, okay. Still, they're focusing on these creatures which in lots of media are portrayed as being sort of part human, part angel, and have become a focus of a huge swathe of conspiracy theory online. The archaeologists are hiding these huge, massive burials from the public.
What do you mean? The Cardiff Giant was a real Mark?
Apparently not. Apparently not.
It looks like bone candy. They just buried it in the ground.
It does. I mean, I've seen photoshopped skulls where the archaeologists look as though they're climbing in and out of a
They're baffled. Baffled.
baffled while climbing in and out of a Flintstone themed jungle gym. It seems.
Yes, yeah.
Look at me, I'm in an eye socket. So it's a great game, and as we've established previously, I do need to complete it on streaming. But I wish why didn't they do something else for the DLC? Why giants again? You know.
As the same thing with the movies, I wish they would just go back to the game is great, Great Circle's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Mhm.
I have no problem with it. And I do consider it canon. But one of the joys that Indiana Jones brought to everybody again is that he finds the legendary objects, the
Yeah.
things that we all don't know are real, but then he finds them and oh, they are real. Ooh.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
that's one of the joys. So him now, going toward fakes or conspiracy theories is a bit sad. That's
Mm.
all.
Do you know one of the things that I do believe we have found in recent days?
Hmm.
and that is the legendary Pandora's box of the word addicting.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news. No, you don't. You flippin' love it. Great. But in English, present participles, like addicting, can be used as adjectives. I think.
Yeah. And the way in which you couldn't just let me be annoyed. You just
Sorry, Mark.
So yes, you'll have to check out Michelle's TikTok to see her response to my frustration over the word, the existence of the
We all
word
have these little
addicting.
pet peeves, and unfortunately, I schooled Mark pretty hard on that one.
Yeah, you always school me hard. That's the problem.
I don't mean to. I don't mean to. I'm very nice and I let you down very gently. But in the end, I say the same things, which
Yeah.
is if you are annoyed by words like addicting,
Yeah.
they are words and we have to just let them go. As I told Mark, I have my own pet peeves as well, but
Yeah.
they are, if people use them
Yeah.
and then they propagate, they are words. And
Mhm.
as even if they're used incorrectly, even if they're like so for example, the word immersive used to bother me a lot.
Mhm.
You have to let it go. If it's a word, it's a word, and
Let it
so
go
so the bird
gently.
says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I suppose it's the fact that even when you say that you let me down gently,
I
uh,
did.
it's also there's a hint of like the thing is, I mean, you're welcome to be wrong.
Yeah.
You're welcome to
You
be
as
wrong.
as
But
as a great man once said, you are welcome to test that assertion at your own convenience.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But it doesn't make it reality. Exactly. Well,
Yep.
folks, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Michelle for her time. Thank you to me for not passing out. And I'm going to go and lie
Thank you
down
to
in a
Mark
dark
for
room.
remembering to press the record button.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At least the second time. Anyway, until next time, guys, do take care. Do comment below if there's any stories you'd like us to take a look at or cover. If any parts of the world that you'd like to hear more about in these archaeological news episodes. And as I say, check out Michelle's other places. There'll be a link below. She has a wonderful YouTube channel, Legends and Lectures. And of course, you know where to find me because you're here. Bye-bye, guys. Bye-bye.
Good job. Thanks for finding him. Bye.